5-6 for us, okay? So the rule of thumb is this. To combine fractions by the operation of addition, you must have the same denominator, which all of you know. You don't even have to really write that, right? Just put LCD at the top. Just write LCD. What does that stand for? Least common denominator. Yes, good, Nick. Very good. So least common denominator simply means that they're the same. That's it. Okay? It happens to be the least one, which is good, and that's going to help us with our steps here. By the way, again, if a problem is subtraction, rewrite it as adding the opposite. Make it easy on yourself, okay? It really will help, and you'll see that in a minute. Now, there's 4 steps. Before I go into all 4 steps, I'm just going to go through the first example, and then we'll go back and write down the steps and see how they correlate. So we have 4 steps. Factor the denominators completely. Find the LCD of each fraction. Okay, remember, just multiply by what's missing over what's missing. Leave the denominator in factored form, like I mentioned. Okay? Add or subtract the numerators and carry over the common denominator. Factor the numerator and simplify if it is possible. Was it possible in the last example? No, we couldn't factor that numerator. Sometimes you will be able to, and it'll make your problem in a more simplified form. Now, besides the fact that it's a good procedure and a practice to have things simplified because they make more sense when they're simplified, right? Things really do make more sense. You should also have a factor because in the SAT, every answer is in least common form, or it's going to be in its lowest terms. So if you have an example with numerical, like for example, like 3 over 48, most people don't think of 1 over 16 right away. Did you think of that right away? No, right now. Did you? Nice. That's really good. You'll see. Right. But if you did, that's really. But 3 over 48 is a common fraction that so many people forget to simplify. And they get that answer, and they don't see the 1/16 sometimes, and I see that all the time. But there's common fractions that this happens with. This is a good practice or technique to remember, to factor the numerator and go ahead and simplify. And if you factored with 3 over 48, you would see that 48 is really 3 times 16, and the 3 is canceled, leaving behind the 1 over 16. Same process as we're looking at here, but everything is in variables. Have you noticed that? When you guys are in Algebra 2, you learned fractions with arithmetic, and it was all numbers. But now since you're in algebra, it's all variables. But the same rules apply, which is why your fundamentals are so important. If you didn't learn how to add and subtract fractions the right way in middle school with numbers, imagine trying to do this, right? It wouldn't make sense what's going on. Okay? You're building on those skills. Let's go to the next example. Okay? If you need the slide, if you need the steps, I'll put them. So the second example says the following. I want you to, on your own, go through the steps. Factor each denominator. See what's missing. Multiply that in the other fraction. Combine the denominators as a common denominator. And, or in this case, add the opposite, right, of the numerator because you're subtracting. Factor if possible. And go ahead and simplify. And this one is most definitely going to have every step involved. And I'm going to try and give you, I don't know, this should only take you about 3 minutes. So since the first time you're doing it on your own, take 4. But this really should not take longer than that. I'm going to be generous. There's only one thing that multiplies to 3, so that makes that easy to factor. It only be 3 and 1 or -3 and -1. So your denominator on the right-hand side should be quite simple to factor. Is anybody planning on using their iPad during class at all for the rest of the year?
I would love to.
If you want to bring it in, and you'll notice I put the notes up for this one. I didn't get a chance to yet, but I will do it, and I'll try to do it ahead of time. I need to. I put up these slides, and you'll see under notes it'll say slides next to it. Okay? If you access that on Moodle on your iPad, the way it works now is you can hit open with. It'll say open with, and you can open it with Notability or a note-taking program, and you can just write right on this like I am. It's really pretty.
Moodle app or go to Safari?
No, you just go to Safari or whatever browser you're in. Just leave it bookmarked, And then click on it, and it'll open in a new tab. That's the setting that would change. So all of these are new tabs there. And then you can open it in the iPad. Because in the past you could not. It was embedded into the website. You couldn't save it. There was no right-click feature. So if you're interested, look at the notes, the morning when you're in Commons before school. Pull your iPad out. Go ahead and take a look at the notes for that day and just load them before you get to class. Because when you're in class, it needs to be on everything, unless I tell you otherwise.
Are we definitely going to have an iPad?
I don't know. It's a good question, Nick. I'm not sure. Say again?
We're getting iPads.
That's in the future for sure. It's whether it's, maybe next year, the year after. But that was the goal of teachers getting them, so they could become acclimated with them before the students ever started using them. Almost like a springboard, right? To the next thing. All right, let's take a look at this, and let's go ahead and factor. The left-hand side, somebody factor for me, or the left fraction, Summer?
You can factor out 2.
Good.
2x minus 1.
Good. Manny, the right factor? Or the right fraction factored? What do you got for that denominator? Come on, man. You got to have this done already, right? You can't be just dilly down sitting there. Erickson, what do you got for the denominator there? Really? Come on, guys. Go ahead, Manny. Take it back. No. Yeah. Come on. Negative 3 plus negative 1 equals negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 1 equals positive 3. Okay? Come on. We have steps for a reason. Use them. Don't just sit there when we're talking. I know I talk sometimes, but you need to continue to work as well. Now, in the denominators, what is common, everybody?
X minus 1.
Yeah, x minus 1 is common. So remember, we're underlining that. Now, on the left-hand fraction, what's missing?
X minus 3.
Very good, Nick. X minus 3 is missing. So we multiply top and bottom by x minus 3. Johnny, in the right-hand fraction, what's missing?
2.
Just a 2. Now we can underline the 2. We can underline the x minus 3 as well, because that's done. So we're done with our common fractions. Now, you got to notice, look at the right fraction, though. There's a 2 and the quantity negative 2x minus 1. No?
Negative 1.
No. What do you need to remember to do that people might forget to do?
Distribute the 2.
Yes, you need to distribute. There's really, here it is, invisible parentheses around there. They're there. You're multiplying the entire numerator by 2, aren't you? So when you multiply a sum or a difference by a constant, you need to remember to distribute that constant. Now, notice there's a negative sign in the middle. So keep that in mind. So on the left-hand side, distribute this. X plus 2, x minus 3. FOIL, what do you get? X squared
Minus x minus 6.
Okay, minus the entire quantity, whatever this comes out to be, which is?
Negative 4x minus 2.
Okay, all over the factored form of the denominator. So again, what have we done here? We've distributed our numerators to each other, and then we put the big minus sign in the middle, and a big parenthesis around there, and even put a bracket to emphasize the fact that you cannot forget that. Now, you see that it's minus, so instead of minus, let's make it plus, and switch the signs of the second thing. So we switch both of these signs to pluses as well. Remember, instead of subtracting, add all of the opposites. So we make this middle sign here, addition, and we change these to whatever their opposites are. And now the numerator simplifies to give me what? Numerator. What do you got? What do you got? Nobody? Manny?
X squared plus 3x
Minus?
minus 2. 4.
Good. Which can be factored into? What do we got for factors in the numerator?
Positive 4, negative 1.
Positive 4 and negative 1. Well done, Summer. What cancels, therefore?
Negative 5 to x minus 1.
Thank you, x minus 1. Let's say the whole thing that time. So our final answer is x plus 4 over 2 times the quantity x minus 3, which could also be written, as you know, by distributing the denominator. Okay? And we should know that both of those forms exist. Either one is possible. In calculus, a lot of the time, you'll see it in its factored form, so you'll leave it like the bottom. On the SAT, they might distribute it, so you might use the top. Does this make sense? So to reiterate, 4 steps. Factor denominators completely. Find a common denominator by multiplying what was missing. Add the numerators together, and then simplify if possible, which was possible in this example. Take a look at number 7 of 41, odd. Okay, odd. A lot of them are very simple in the beginning, and then some get a little more tricky. But if you don't follow the steps, this homework will be so much harder than it would be if you follow them. So trust me on this one. Have your notes with you, and literally go through every step every time. All 4 steps.